Drop a comment below with your country, and the time where you are could be midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or somewhere in between. Oren's guessing someone's even watching from Antarctica right now, sipping cocoa and wondering why HOA politics can sound more dangerous than penguins. That morning, Lake Cobalt wears a hard frost, the pines brittle under a pale sky. Oren steps onto his granite stoop, breath clouding in front of him, and there it is, a yellow bulldozer rolling down the common lane like it's got an RSVP. Tracks bite into frozen dirt, puffing frost from the branches overhead. Behind it, Celeste Granger's silver crossover glides up, headlights still on, though the sun's peeking over the ridge. In her passenger seat, HOA lawyer Jasper Klein sits crisp in a tie, looking like someone who irons his socks. Hank, the operator, shifts in the cab, one hand on the lever. Celeste steps out, coat belted like a judge's robe, clipboard tucked in the crook of her arm. "Mr. Vale," she calls, voice flat enough to skate on. "We're here for emergency remediation. Historians still argue whether HOA bylaws were written to protect neighborhoods or just give certain people a permanent hobby." Oren's pretty sure this morning's stunt lands firmly in the latter camp. "You don't have a court order," he says, tone, so even it could level a table. "You don't have authority to touch this structure." She tilts the clipboard just enough for him to glimpse Revision 4B errata before snapping it back like a magician hiding a bad card trick. He taps the body cam on his chest, red light winking alive, then bends to check the porch camera under the step. Live feed's clean. Somewhere out there someone's already watching. The neighbors trickle in, two couples, a teen with a phone, because nothing draws a crowd faster than someone else's drama. Oren raises his voice, catching every mic and lens. "This cabin is built within recorded survey lines. Any attempt to destroy it without due process is unlawful." Celeste's lips press thin. She nods to Hank. The dozer's engine deepens, blade hovering inches from the porch. The cabin almost seems to lean back, bracing itself. Oren moves fast, drone controller in one hand, GoPro harness clipped to his chest. The quad lifts blades combing frosty air, and the feed frames the whole stage. Celeste, Jasper, Hank, the crowd, the cabin. "State your name for the record," Oren calls up. Hank mutters, "Hank McCready." Oren repeats it, locking eyes with the body cam. "Proceed," Celeste snaps. The blade kisses the first porch board wood, groaning like an old man in yoga class. Inside the chipped trout mug, his niece's 8th birthday craft wobbles on the sill, then tips out of sight. It's not the most expensive thing in the room, but it's the one that puts a lump in his throat. On the drone feed, a folded page sticks from Celeste's clipboard. He catches just enough "do it" before he gets an injunction. The crowd murmurs uneasy. And just then sirens thread through the pines, thin at first, then swelling, ricocheting off the frozen lake. The sirens rise closer, painting the ridge in red and blue. Hank's hands hover on the levers, that awkward limbo between doing as told and not wanting to be the guy in court explaining why he flattened a veteran's porch. Celeste doesn't flinch toward the noise. Her eyes stay glued to the blade, like staring hard enough might make it legal. First cruiser rolls up. Deputy Lyle Harbin steps out, boots crunching frost hand, resting near his holster in the way that says, "I'm calm, but don't test it." He scans the scene, cracked boards, hovering drone crowd, gathering like it's a matinee. "Everybody stop where you are," he calls. Celeste strides toward him, voice smooth as ice. "Deputy, we have a board-authorized emergency abatement. Authority under..." "You got a court order." Lyle cuts in. Not mean, but with the kind of steel that makes even lawyers blink. Jasper slides in, aiming for suave. There's no injunction." Oren interrupts, his voice carrying clear over the idling engine. Lyle's gaze moves between them, weighing. Then this equipment doesn't move another inch. Hank practically drops his hands from the levers. The dozer's engine hums lower. Oren steps forward, unstrapping the waterproof pouch from his chest. "Deputy, I've got the original deed survey maps and a drive with footage of them trespassing before today. Also proof they've been redrawing boundaries without county review." He swallows the part about the email. Better to keep that ace hidden. Celeste tries to reframe Mr. Vale's been in violation for months, but Lyle doesn't bite. Board doesn't get to make up the law. Behind her, Maze exhales like she's been holding her breath all winter. Reed stares at his boots. The crowd's grown. More phones out now, screens lit like tiny judgment panels. Lyle's radio crackles. Judge Marley on the line says, "Hold everything until she can review documents." Celeste's lips pinch, but before anyone can breathe, Hank's boot slips on the clutch. The dozer jerks forward, blade slamming into the porch again with a crack like a rifle shot. Splinters fan into the cold air. "Kill the engine now!" Lyle's voice is sharp enough to slice. Silence drops in thick and ringing. Celeste plays the accident card, but Oren's already holding up the drone feed, looping Hank's slip for everyone to see. Whispers ripple through the crowd, intent, not accident. Jasper tries, "Let's be reasonable," but Lyle's done listening. Oren requests all demolition documents preserved. Lyle turns to Celeste. "Ma'am, I'm going to need that clipboard." For the first time, her poise cracks. She hands it over, fingers lingering just too long. Lyle flips through bylaws minutes, then stops. A topographic map shoving Oren's property line 30 feet inland, stamped Revision 4B, approved by emergency vote, but missing county seals. "That's not recorded," Oren says flatly. Before Celeste can spin, Maze speaks up, voice shaking but steady. "It's about the marina project. They want the shoreline lots. His is the only one they couldn't buy." The words hang in the frost. Jasper's eyes stay forward, but his jaw ticks. And somewhere down the lane, another siren grows closer, sharper, bringing the person who can end this. The second siren cuts through the pines, sharper and quicker than the first. A black and white cruiser crests the bend, and behind it, a dark blue county pickup. The driver steps out, Judge Marley herself, hair pinned back, black coat buttoned tight against the cold. Her presence straightens the crowd like they've all been called to inspection. "Which one of you is Oren Vale?" she asks, voice clear and clipped. Oren steps forward, pouch still strapped to his chest, drone hovering above like an unblinking witness. She takes in the splintered porch, the silent bulldozer, the wall of phones recording, then fixes her eyes on Celeste. What in God's name is going on here? Celeste recovers quick, or tries to. "Your Honor, the HOA was exercising its rights under the covenant to abate an imminent hazard." Marley holds up a hand. "Stop. If you have a court order authorizing demolition, produce it now." Silence save the faint tick of the bulldozer's cooling engine. Jasper starts on emergency provisions, but Marley cuts him off. Due process still applies. Lyle hands her the clipboard. She flips through stops at the crooked line map. Revision 4B. Who approved this? Celeste's voice falters. "The board in an emergency session." Marley doesn't blink. "Emergency sessions don't redraw plats. That's fraud." The word drops like a stone in the frozen lane. Phones tilt higher. Maze speaks up again, chin lifting despite the tremor in her voice. "It's about the marina project. They want the shoreline lots. His is the last holdout." Marley turns to Celeste and Jasper. "Is that true?" Their silence answers for them. Oren's voice stays level. "They tried to erase my cabin to make room for a private dock. They called it compliance. I call it theft." Marley snaps the clipboard closed. Demolition halted. Bulldozer impounded. "Every board member here will give a statement. This matter is now under judicial review. No one touches this property until resolved." Lyle moves to separate the board from the crowd. Jasper's jaw tightens. Celeste's face drains of color. The HOA's blade is stopped cold, but in her eyes, Oren sees the message: "You just bought yourself a bigger war." 10 days later in court, the chipped trout mug sits on the table beside Oren's evidence drives. The video plays Blade creeping forward, Celeste ordering the advance, Hank's name on record, the folded email header. Do it before he gets an injunction. Marley calls it damning orders. Full restoration at HOA expense nullifies. Revision 4B and refers the case for criminal review. Gasps ripple through the gallery. By summer, Celeste pleads no contest. Jasper surrenders his law license. The marina project collapses. New board knocks with cleanup invitations instead of notices. But one night an unmarked envelope appears in Oren's mailbox, photo of his cabin from the water lights glowing, and on the back, "Nice place. Shame if something happened to it." He files it in the binder with every other scrap from the fight. The record is his shield now. The lake shifts in the evening breeze. Porch boards creak under his boots and the chipped mug sits back in its place. The HOA tried to take his home with a bulldozer. What they built instead was a legend. The seasons turn slower at Lake Cobalt now. Summer leans into fall with a warmth that clings just a little longer each evening, the lake's surface holding sunsets. Like a memory it doesn't want to let go. The pines whisper in the wind, low and unhurried, as if they've been here long enough to know most storms pass if you stand still and tall. Oren sits on the porch, feet resting on the railing, chipped trout mug warm between his hands. The cedar boards smell fresh, where new grain has met old scars. Somewhere across the water, a loon calls, its echo folds into the soft rustle of the shoreline. Every sound feels earned now, not just heard. He's learned the pace of quiet again, the way the morning light catches in the window without being blocked by someone else's shadow. The law has done its part for now. The rest belongs to time and the slow rebuilding of trust. Neighbors pass on the lane, some waving, some nodding, all at least willing to meet his eyes. That's more than before. The photograph from the mailbox sits in its sleeve, filed away, not forgotten, just kept. A reminder that even in peace, you stay watchful. But watchfulness doesn't have to be fear. Sometimes it's simply knowing the weight of what you've already defended and choosing each day to keep it. As the sky deepens to a blue that borders on black, the lake breathes under the rising moon. Oren takes another sip, the steam curling up like a slow exhale, and lets the sound of the water close over the day. This cabin is his. The ground under it is his. And tonight, that's all it needs to be.